Just hanging out, see if anybody's gonna jump on. It's been a while since I did a 5 o'clock hanging out in my car. Somebody has jumped on, maybe. If you come on, send me a wave, say hello, let me know who's there. It is Thursday. It is Thursday, and it is 5:07 p.m. I am sitting outside Trace's boxing lessons. He's going to spar later, so I'm probably going to go live when that happens. But for right now, he's in there working out, so it's going to be a bit. Just got to wait for his sparring partner to show up. So I'm just going to hang out here for a bit and see if anybody jumps on. Who we got? Not sure what's up. It shows me somebody's there, and then it shows me nobody there. Been getting a lot of questions about what I think about all the COVID, the emails, the Fauci emails. What do I think about what's going on? So this is gonna answer some of the questions as far as my opinions of what's going on there. But no one's on yet. I guess I could just go ahead and start talking, but I usually don't leave these things up, but they will go on my YouTube channel, so I guess you could just check it out there. And if someone shows up here, I can always start back over and answer questions. So if you haven't been keeping up with it, there have been some emails that have been released about Fauci's emails, and some of them, and I heard him talk. He was on CNN. Yeah, I know, Communist News Network, right? Well, sometimes that's where you can watch people, and they're most comfortable. Hey, baby. Just me and you right now. I'm just talking to myself. Trace is in there boxing, and I was just going to start talking about some COVID stuff. What do we call this? What did you call this? This segment whenever I do stuff in the car? You had a name for it. I can't remember what it was. I don't know. Maybe I should call it the CarCast with Casey. Kind of like a podcast, but it's like a CarCast. I don't know. If you're jumping on, say hi. I'm about to talk about some COVID stuff, give you my opinions on the COVID crisis 2021. Also, Trump, all but saying he is going to run in 2024. He said basically he's running. He couldn't formally announce it because of campaign finance issues. And he said it was too early to... what's going on, Mac? It's too early for him to actually formally say that he's running, but he told Candace Owens, who asked if she could be his vice president, that she would be, and everybody who supported him would be really happy to hear what he was going to say as soon as he could say it. And that it was just too early, and because of campaign finance reasons, you just really couldn't announce presidential bids too early. So that's basically what he said, which, I mean, it's all but an announcement. So I guess Car Chats with Casey, that's what we called it, okay? All right, so welcome to Car Chats with Casey. And make sure you chat with me, like ask questions, leave some opinions, say something. But Trump has pretty much made it known that he will be running in 2024. So I expect it to happen. So do I think he will win? Whew. Yeah, probably. Unless something funny happens, I think he will probably win, because, like, I talked to a lot of people, and even people that voted for Biden are hating this administration already. I mean, they're hating their conditions of life right now. And if you think that this administration is doing a good job, then I get it. I understand why you do, because you actually, it's kind of weird how this thing's. Everyone hated Trump's character. Everyone that hated Trump hated his character. They didn't really have an issue with his policies, right? For the most part, it was just about his character. They didn't like how he acted. And the people that support Biden like how he acts for some reason. He acts like an idiot to me, but for some reason they like how he acts, but they don't address his policies. So his policies are destroying this country almost immediately. Yeah, I mean, take a look around. It's obvious. So I think in another few years, when it comes time to actually elect the president or re-elect, Biden's not going to get reelected. Look, the silent majority is going to have probably doubled by then, and people are really going to. No one's going to say it. A lot of people are going to say it, but those who have crossed the lines are not going to admit it. But it's going to be, they're going to go to the polls and they're going to vote their paychecks, and they're going to hope that Trump can bring the pre-COVID economy back. And that's what's going to happen. So, I mean, like him or hate him, if he runs in 2024 and we continue the path that we're in right now, becoming weak all over the world. What's going on, Ryan? If we continue becoming weaker and weaker on the world status, if we continue to bow to China, if we continue to close down jobs and prices continue to skyrocket, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, you're going to vote your paycheck. And people, Democrats and moderates are going to alike, everyone except for the far left, will probably end up voting against Biden. And if Trump runs, I'm betting that he will be the figurehead of the party. He'll still be the main voice of the party, and most Republicans are going to get behind him, and he's probably going to win. You're still going to have your Republicans that are going to get behind him. You're going to have your Mitt Romneys and basically your Republican liberals, what they really are, But yeah, if things continue to go the way they are, I think he'll win. If you're coming on, say hi. Shoot me a question. I just basically was giving my predictions if I thought that Trump was going to run in 2024. I think he's pretty much said that. And if it's rigged, yeah. I can only hope that what's going on now with all the audits, everyone thinks that the audits, all this stuff going on in Georgia and Arizona, these audits are going to, flip the results of the election. I don't really think that's their purpose. I mean, I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but I don't really think that's the purpose of them. I think the purpose of them is to start reforming the election system before 24. And that is to get it to where it's so transparent by 2024 that neither side can do what most people feel was done in this last election. And look, for the record, guys, I didn't buy into the whole, Trump, the election was stolen from Trump at first. I didn't buy into it. I didn't. I said it several times. I didn't buy into it. I thought Republicans just got their asses kicked. I thought and at the time I was a moderate, and I thought that we as, the moderates had just failed to, I felt like the Republicans had failed to capitalize on things that could have that they should have as the dynamics of elections, national elections, were changing. That's what I thought. And I didn't buy into the whole the election was stolen. But now, I've completely changed on that. Man, the more I watch this guy speak, and the more I look back at the campaign events and how Biden, he didn't campaign, there was no turnout, there was no enthusiasm. I just, it just doesn't. No, I don't believe it. I don't believe it happened like that. So at some point, common sense has to, I tried to believe that narrative, but I just can't make myself. So I'm gonna stop trying. I'm gonna go with my gut on this one, and that is that the election was not something really, really sinister happened this last time. So I think that everything you see going on in these states like Arizona and Georgia, these audits that are going on, I think everyone's getting excited because they think that it's going to flip the election results and that Trump's going to be reinstated. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not against it happening. I don't think it's going to happen, but I do think that what's going on now is going to the purpose of it is to try to fix the system so that what happened this last time doesn't repeat itself, or isn't able to repeat itself. So that's my opinion on that. What are your thoughts? Do you think that they're going to find significant evidence that it was actually be able to prove it, and that the election will be flipped? I don't think it will. I'm not saying it's not the right thing to do. I'm just saying that there's no constitutional precedence for it, and I don't think it's going to go that way. I think we're stuck with this administration until 2024. But I do think the smart move is to start fixing the election systems to ensure that nothing crooked happens in 2024. Whether or not it happened last time or not, guys, that round's already went down range. I don't think there's anything we can really do about that, short of an actual coup or revolution. I don't think there's anything that can be done on that one. But I do think that it's not too late to solidify they will find this. Lee says they will find the same amount of evidence for election fraud as they have with the Wuhan COVID-19 investigation. All right, well, I'm not so I'm guessing that you don't believe there's a connection with the Wuhan lab. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what they found, what they do find. Proof will be found, but no change in the current status. I agree with that. If proof's found, I still don't think there'll be a change in the current status. As far as the Wuhan lab thing goes, I've been saying this from the beginning. I think it's ridiculous to trust the Chinese and think that there's a coincidence that you're talking about a institute of virology, an institute that studies viruses. It's a weaponized institute, works for the state of China. It is a weapons lab, and it works on a variety of levels of weapons, and not just, not everything in a weapons lab is going to kill you if it gets out, but a lot of it is designed for test phases. And if you really believe just because China has convinced the media that it didn't come out of the lab, and now the media is not even convinced. Now even CNN. I mean, you have Cuomo himself on CNN asking Fauci the hard questions, and Fauci even saying on CNN, that he still thinks that the natural method is most likely, but he is not ruling out that it came from a lab. He's not ruling that out. So there you go. There's no evidence that it came out of the lab either. The only evidence is that China says so. Yeah, basically they won't find anything under this administration after one. I got you, Lee. Yeah, I agree with you. As long as I agree that that's a possibility. Maybe. There's a lot at work here to ensure. Look, I don't know that it matters if they find anything anymore. Does it? I mean, what if let me ask you a question. Here's a question for thought. For Ryan, for Sherry, for Lee, for everyone watching right now. Here's a thought experiment. Let's say tomorrow there were two big announcements on Fox News. Let's say that a very important figure, possibly even a main scientist, a head scientist from the Wuhan lab, came out and flat out said, well, I'm sure the Chinese would kill him immediately afterwards if he ever got this out, but let's just say he came out on some method and said, you know what, we engineered COVID-19 as a stepping stone toward a more dangerous virus. We took SARS, we took a coronavirus, and we altered it a little bit, and we were playing around with a concept, and it got out. It wasn't in a very secured setting in the sense that maybe like a very, very lethal virus would have been, something much more deadly, you know. And because we didn't take the precautions, it got loose, and, you know, and it was definitely dangerous, but yeah, we created it. Let's say he came out and said that. All right? What do you think would happen to him? Besides, he would probably get killed. He would be discredited, right? China would come out and say that he never worked for them. CNN would say that he was a Trump supporter and a racist. And, you know, I mean, am I wrong? It doesn't really matter what's found. Let's say tomorrow that Democratic election officials came out and said, you know what, these machines really did switch votes from Trump to Biden, a lot of them. What do you think would happen? CNN would say that they were Republican operatives and that they were, you know, Trump supporters and racists, and the Biden administration would discredit them, and everyone would the proof doesn't really matter anymore because public opinion is all we pay attention to, right? We only pay attention to the media. So truth, one way or the other, is irrelevant. It doesn't matter what the truth is. Not anymore. At least not as long as media rules the world. And doesn't it? Doesn't it, though? Do we not live in a world where it only matters how you appear right here? Doesn't really matter what's really going on at home, right? It only matters how you look in your pictures when they're doctored and when they're filtered. It doesn't really matter how you actually look at Walmart when we run into each other, right? It doesn't matter. Look, I'll give you another example. You can be not married, but if you put married on Facebook, so let's say you and your girlfriend decide to get married, all right? Another thought experiment. Just following me on this, guys. I know I'm kind of sound like I'm going all over the place, but I have an overall point. We live in a culture now to where marriage isn't really a sacrament anymore, right? It's not really, not for most people. For most people, it's just, they say it all the time. How many times have you heard the phrase, it's just a piece of paper, right? Well, we live in a digital age now. So just a piece of paper is worthless. We don't use paper anymore hardly, right? We use digital stuff. So if someone puts that they're married on Facebook, if a couple puts they're married on Facebook, does it really matter whether or not they're legally or, you know, sacramentally married or not? Does it really matter? I mean, it doesn't. Not to most people. Most people are gonna, if you marry on Facebook, you're married. That's really what matters. What is your status on social media? You guys see where I'm going with this? We live in an age of appearance, not of substance. He said it's a living arrangement to many nowadays. It is. But Brad, what I'm getting at is we live in an age of appearance, not substance, right? It doesn't really matter what the real situation is anymore. We are raising a generation of children that are now being taught at every level, especially on the left, that it only matters what you want it to be. It only matters how it appears, right? It doesn't matter biologically whether you are a male or female. It only matters what you identify as. It doesn't matter if you are nothing matters. The only thing that matters is what do you say it is, right? And we've done that to ourselves because very much right. And I'm not right very often, but when I'm right, right? There's a lot of rights there. I'm saying that we live in a world where perception really is reality. It's not literally reality. It's just, it's all that matters. It's perception. So, if the truth came out tomorrow that President Trump was cheated out of the election, if the truth came out tomorrow that this, my wife says if you say so, if the truth came out tomorrow that this virus was either created in a lab or at least it leaked from a lab, even if it was natural, if the media attacks that narrative hard enough, discredits everyone who says it hard enough, then you'll end up with two types of people. Three types. The people that really believe it because they believe literally anything the mob media tells them to believe. You will have the people who don't believe it but are so sick of hearing about it they just don't care anymore, which is equivalent to believing it effect-wise, right? Because if you're not going to do anything, it really doesn't matter what you believe, right? And then, you'll have everyone else, which is, people don't know what to believe. Only very few people will not believe it and actually say something and stand up and do something, because those people get labeled. If you read my post, go back and read it. They'll be labeled conspiracy theorists or racist. So, a conspiracy theory is a theory that more than one person got together and planned something, even if it's not criminal. Guys, if we go out, if a group of us sit down and conspire to go give food to the hungry, and someone suspects that we conspire to do that, that's a conspiracy theory. Even though it's true, even though it's not even criminal. It's great. It's benevolent, right? It's a conspiracy theory. So the fact that phrase has been, bastardized to the point that no one even takes it seriously is a great accomplishment for the left. But in regards to what it's usually referring to, which is, supposing or investigating a group of people for criminal activities, suspected criminal activities, well, that whole narrative, anytime you do that, that's automatically shifted to, that phrase has been shifted to, that's a conspiracy theory. So you can't investigate or say that you're investigating anyone for criminal activities if they are favored by the media, because in doing so, you are now a conspiracy theorist. You're crazy. You need a tinfoil hat, right? Even if later those accusations start gaining more and more traction. Case in point, the Wuhan lab deal. Okay, there are people that have been saying this from the very beginning. I've been one of them. And now CNN is even saying this is a possibility. They're even interviewing and kind of going after people that said it wasn't a possibility, because, in the end, they want to look like that they were open-minded and they were always on yada yada. Okay, it'll take probably about a month for even CNN's now flip on this issue to hit TikTok or to hit Facebook, right? The people on Facebook and TikTok, they're going to be pushing that it's a ridiculous concept for at least another month or so, until they actually watch the news, because they don't even watch the news. They just report on other shit they see on TikTok. Again, proof that we are living in a world where social media perception is the only thing that matters. So there you have it. And that's what's going on. As long as social media, as long as our mindsets are that we only care about what we see on platforms like this, it doesn't really matter what's going on. So I'm not sure that the truth will change anything. We used to live in a world where we said things like the truth will set you free. But the truth doesn't matter anymore. The truth doesn't matter anymore, because the truth is just attacked, and the truth is called lies, and no one knows what to believe anymore. It's just like the racism thing. Now, it's common knowledge that if you are against the left, if you oppose leftist views, then you are now a racist. Apparently I'm a racist. Okay? It doesn't matter that I embrace differences in people. It doesn't matter that I call people of different races, different religions, different cultures, my brothers and sisters who I served with in the Marine Corps and as a contractor. It doesn't matter that I'm not a racist in literal truth. It only matters what the opposition media wants to portray me as. Now, they're not trying to portray me as that. I don't guess. I don't think I'm really that relevant. But I'm saying that that would be the case. So, but the good news is, and if you read my post earlier, the good news is that they have absolutely worn the terms conspiracy theory and racist out. They have overused them to the point that it's just white noise. It's crying wolf. No one gives a shit if the left calls them a racist. No one cares. Even the left knows that the people they call racist aren't racist. They have devalued the terms. It's actually tragic. It's tragic because there really are, because racism does still exist out there. Though we don't live in a racist country and we don't live under systemic racism, critical race theory, all that's bullshit. But there really is racism out there, and it's tragic because the left has bastardized the term racism so much that it's devalued it to the point to where no one gives a shit. I mean, there was a time when if someone called me a racist, it would hurt me. It would hurt my heart because I know me, right? It would scare me that people would think, would even hear that I was a racist. But now, honestly, if someone from the left calls me racist, I freaking wouldn't even notice. I wouldn't even care. Like, no one would even, because it's such a ridiculous term now. It means nothing. In fact, they've almost redefined it. Racism has almost got to the point where it doesn't even mean racism anymore. It just means conservative. It just means political opposition to the left. And, I am politically opposed to the left. But I am not racist. Not what that word really means, no. But I don't really give a shit what they call. I don't care what they think. No one does anymore. Nobody cares what the left thinks of them any longer, because their opinions have been devalued to such a point that no one takes them seriously anymore. And everyone knows that it's just a big show. So, there you go. Those terms hold no merit in society now because they've overused them. Yeah, they don't hold any. This nation has become so desensitized to many issues, immorality being a good topic. So that's a really good point. This doesn't just start with the left, guys. It started with our culture in general. We have been desensitized to so much stuff that this is just part of the process. We've been desensitizing people to immoralities and to violence and to crime for so long that some of this blame is to be shared by both sides. The bottom line is that the Judeo-Christian conservative base in this country, the family-backed part of this country, the family-supporting part of this country, we were far too silent for far too long, right? From the very beginning. And we let Hollywood become this big monster. We let Hollywood and the music industry and the news media, we allowed them to become as big and powerful as they are. We enabled them. We watched them. We paid tickets. We bought tickets to these movies. We bought the music. We watched the news. We gave them the ratings. Even when we were doing it as a learning experiment, we need to know what, even when we were doing it to whatever, we contributed to them being as big and powerful as they are. If nothing else, our silence contributed to it. So maybe we're to blame too, right? Maybe we're to blame too. Maybe it's time we stopped giving them our money. Maybe it's time that AMC didn't get our investment, hoping that we would make some money in turn. Maybe it's time that the music labels stopped getting our money and they stopped getting our kids' money. Maybe it's time all the news outlets stopped getting our ratings. Maybe it's time we pulled back and we started building our own media outlets, and we actually created some loyalty to that. The small independent filmmaker, the small independent music labels or artists, the small news outlets. Maybe it's time we actually started taking some of that back. Are we capable of doing it? I don't know, you know. I posted something on Memorial Day. I honestly have only heard a couple things from him, so I'm not vouching for character or anything. But, you know, if you pay attention to my Facebook page, Tom MacDonald, a Canadian rapper who is blatantly says he's modeled after Eminem, is a 100%, he's a conservative. He's anti-woke. He's I don't know if he's conservative. He's anti this whole woke movement, all right? He's anti-cancel culture. He's pro-American. He had a beautiful Memorial Day message to the troops, and not just to the ones who'd fallen, but to the ones who had lost parts of themselves and their friends overseas. And he's a Canadian, guys, and he ended his post with, "I love you so much." That man is from another country, and he is a rap artist, and he loves America more than a lot of Americans do. And that's the guys we should be supporting. I don't know that I'll ever listen to most of this music, but I'm going to buy it. Is it a marketing ploy? Whatever. Maybe we need some marketing ploys to counterbalance what's going on. So I'm just going to shout out right now. If you want to do something, then let's start supporting these independent artists who share our values. Let's help them. I mean, go to Tom MacDonald's, go to iTunes, buy his music, whether you listen to it or not. Buy his music. I mean, I understand if that's not your brand of music or whatever. I'm just saying, find an opposition brand. And let's unseat some of these powerhouses in the media and in the music industry and in the news, movies. Let's unseat some of this stuff. And let's start replacing it with our own, you know, we live in a world now where you can have your own talk show. We can make our own movies. We can listen to our own music. We can make our own music. There's plenty of people out there struggling to do that share our values. And I think as conservatives, we have lived the lie that is separate politics from everything else. If you have been separating politics from everything else, you've been losing. We have been losing because we have been doing that. We have said, I don't want to talk about politics. I don't want to talk about religion. I want to keep that because it divides. Well, let me tell you who is talking about it. Everyone on the other side. And by you avoiding those subjects, then you are avoiding the fight. And by avoiding the fight, you are giving the battle to them, and they're becoming more powerful because everything that they do is about the religion of human worship. Okay? What is that? What is human worship? It's the belief that there's nothing higher than us, therefore we can do anything we want. Right? That's human worship. That's what I call it. Secular humanism. It's a religion, guys. It's a worship of us, by us. And that's in everything they do. And politics, you know, leftist politics, communism, the bridge to communism, socialism, that's in everything they do. So if you aren't reinserting religion and politics back in the conversation, then you're giving the conversation to the left. You're giving the conversation to the communist. You're giving the conversation to the socialist. You're giving the conversation to tyranny, to the woke, to the oppressive, to the people who do not want you talking. You want to know why they hate it so much when you talk? It's because for so long we haven't been talking. For so long, we have just been listening, and we have been trying to be the good guys and take the high roads. So when we start talking, they hate it. They do not want you to talk. They do want to cancel out your voice. They do want to cancel you out in everything you do. They want to cancel the musical artists that share your values. They want to cancel the actors, the movie companies that share your values. They want to cancel you because for so long, we have not spoken. For so long, we have not talked. For so long, we have not been real. You want to know why they hated Trump so much? It wasn't because he was mean. You think he's the first mean president? Really? Do you? Do you? Of course not. He's the first real president. He's the first president that didn't pretend like he was something he wasn't. They hated him for it. I'm not saying he was a good person. I'm not saying I would have wanted to work for him. I'm saying he was upfront about what he believed and what he didn't believe. He was upfront about who he was. And when they couldn't accept that, then they created a narrative of him that just wasn't true. But that's why they hate your voice, because they've been able to get away with not hearing it for so long. I hear people say all the time, we speak at the voting booth. You better stop only speaking at the voting booth, because it's not freaking working. If you really believe that this election was stolen, then you shouldn't believe that your voice is worth anything at the voting booth. You need to get your voice back out there with your voice and not just with a button being pushed or a lever being pulled or whatever, or a mail-in ballot or whatever. You need to start talking again. We need to start talking with our voices, and we have to start talking with our wallets. Half this country voted for Trump, at least. If half this country stopped purchasing products put out by the side they believe stole the election from Trump, then that side would be crippled. If half the country started only putting money in companies that share their values, then the other side would be crippled. All right, Hollywood would go under. All right, the immoral music industry would go under. All right, the media would go under if half the country started actually putting their money where their mouth was. So that's all I'm saying, guys. So the two things that I hope that you got out of this, as my wife calls it, car chats with Casey. The two things I hope you got out of this was, we're living in an age right now where truth doesn't really matter, because we've allowed it to get to that point. We've allowed it to get to the point where perception, social media perception, is all that matters. And if the truth came out tomorrow, then that media power structure would just discredit it and defame it to the point that no one would want to listen to it, and it really wouldn't matter. But we've allowed it to get there. So we have to get the truth back out there. We have to, in order to do that, we have to take down this oppressive bubble of power that actually pushes the truth down all the time. And it does it constantly. All right? CNN, the music industry, Hollywood, they do it constantly. All right? They just constantly just discrediting anything they can that opposes their views. And the way we do that is we have to end the error of the silent majority. The silent majority is destined to eventually lose. You can be silent for so long, but eventually your silence will cause you to lose. And that loss will turn to oppression and tyranny. And that will turn to war. Okay? So, we need to stop. We need to get our voices heard again. And we need to start putting our money where our mouth is. Now, if we're not talking, then that's easy. It doesn't cost much to put your money where your mouth is if you've been the silent majority forever. Because you're not talking. You're freaking losing. But if we're going to start talking, we need to start talking with our wallets too. And we need to start investing in independent artists, in independent entertainment, and independent news outlets, and independent stuff, people that share our values, and stop giving our money to those people who don't. Because I'm going to tell you something. If you disagree with someone, but you pay them to keep spreading their rhetoric, then you're just as guilty as they are. All right? If you hate communism, but you continue to give your money, all right, to businesses that support that ideology, then you're just as guilty as they are. Me too, man. I'm saying we've all done it, and we need to stop. So it's more than just a voting booth. That's all I got. I got to go watch the kids spar. So you guys have a good weekend. If I don't talk to you before then, hey, leave a comment, leave a message. This is going up on YouTube, so check it out. I don't know if it'll be on Facebook for very long, but it will be on my YouTube channel, so I'll send you a link. All right? Take care, and stay safe.